Ms. Taylor, I want to again thank you for being here today to tell your story, and I appreciate hearing your testimony. You mentioned that technology exists to identify driver impairment and stop a vehicle. Could you elaborate a little on that technology for us?
Yes, there are numerous technologies that are available. And what we have come across, which is submitted in the RFI for record, are 241 available ones. Um, Much of this technology is passive technology, driver monitoring, driving monitoring, and as simple as I am not a tech expert. And please know that I am here specifically on behalf of my family and the families of those mad victims that have been working on this. But what I do know is the technology is available. It is passive. It is as simple as even a code switch to get it into vehicles. Yet we are still holding on. And I hope that from my perspective, the committee members can understand what I hear when I hear that either it's not time yet, or I hear that more research needs to be done. I just hear that more lives need to be lost before we can do this. And that's not okay. And it's not enough for me. And I know it's not enough for the many victims that have been advocating tirelessly to make sure no families go through what we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your powerful and impactful testimony. Mr. Bozella and Ms. Wilson, in January, NHTSA announced a final rule to update certain definitions and vehicle crashworthiness standards to account for automated and passenger-less vehicles. However, NHTSA has not officially published that final rule, meaning the rule has not gone into effect. Do you believe NHTSA should publish that final rule, and if so, why? We'll start with Ms. Wilson.
We submitted comments to those rules. Crashworthiness is something we work on very closely with our customers, obviously. We think there's a lot of data there. As Ms. Taylor recognized, there's a lot of data out there on passive technology. I would have to get back to you about whether we think it's time to publish that specific rule. But I would like to go back to a theme that Ms. Taylor talked about in her original testimony. It is not okay where we are. In our written statement, we have said that NHTSA has lost a lot of its momentum. And I want to be really clear about where we are on, where the supplier industry is on the NCAP program. The NCAP program has sufficient data to move forward to really talk to consumers about these passive technologies that she mentioned, like AEB, lane keeping, blind spot detection. Give that information, and they can do this very quickly. And at the same time, we can talk about these roadmaps or other things that can be done. Because as we know, and you've sort of mentioned that in your in your question, these rulemakings take a substantial amount of time, and we don't quite understand why we should hold still for that time for rulemaking when we can start to provide some consumers with at least the tools to move forward. It's not okay where we are. We're losing ground competitively, but we are also losing lives every day.
Thank you. Mr. Bozella, please.
Yes, Senator Fischer, I agree with Ann. I think there's an opportunity here to take a more strategic and more robust approach to this through NCAP. We haven't looked at NCAP and really addressed NCAP since 2011. We have an opportunity to use that really important tool to add crash avoidance technologies right now to kind of kickstart the program, as well as to lay out a roadmap to make sure that we're focused on the right technologies, that stakeholders are contributing, and that we identify the regulations of the future that are necessary to continue to improve safety.
Okay, thank you. I know both of your organizations have called for updating NHTSA's new car assessment program, which provides vehicle safety ratings for public information. Why is updating NCAP important to your members, and can you briefly describe your recommendations?
Yes, Senator. The first recommendation is to establish long-term and midterm roadmaps, technology roadmaps, opportunities for regulators and technology innovators as well as other stakeholders to come together and lay out a long-term game plan. What that does is it creates a win-win-win. Manufacturers understand how the regulators are looking at these technologies, and we can bring them into the fleet and use the new car assessment program to create ratings. This produces consumer confidence. We think another important recommendation is to bring all of the stakeholders together, other researchers, other safety advocates, and others who have opinions about the importance of safety ratings. And then finally, we would suggest adding crash avoidance technologies to NCAP right now, things like automatic emergency braking and forward collision warning systems, lane keep assist and the like, because we should be rating those technologies as well.
Ms. Wilson?
And I think one thing to reiterate here is that, well, first of all, our NCAP program is rated one of the worst, least effective for NCAP programs in the world. I'll get you, for the record, the list of technologies, but it's sad. You talk about a competitive disadvantage, it's right there in how they rate NCAP programs. So first of all, that's one piece of this. A lot of these technologies are already available on vehicles. Many times when you go buy a vehicle right now, you'll have AEB and other things. We need to get this information out there. And I think one of the refrains that we keep hearing is a lot of this information is already available to the Department of Transportation and to NHTSA. There is a full docket on NCAP. I think where we may disagree a little bit with our customers is I think we're willing to be a little bit more forward-leaning and take a look and say to NCAP, look, can't you provide a forward-looking roadmap too, so that not just talk about the here and now, but how we move forward with things. And again, we want to work with our vehicle manufacturers, with all of you, and with NHTSA, but there's no reason to delay.
Okay, thank you very much. Senator